So this is going to be the most straightforward, no BS video on how to set up an abandoned cart and an abandoned checkout flow. And yes, they are completely different things, but 90% of the brands that I audit only have a checkout abandonment and not a cart abandonment. And here is the difference. This is what a cart abandonment metric looks like, and this is what a checkout abandonment metric looks like. So you probably only have one because most people are exactly in that place. So what I'm going to cover is exactly how to set up the flows. I'm going to be building the most high converting checkout abandonment with you, showing you the design and the best call to actions to use. I'm going to be showing you split tests that you can run, and I'm also going to be covering exactly how to set it up in the best way with the time delays, strategy that we use, and everything else. So let's jump into it. All right, so first things first is you want to go ahead to the flow section, and we're going to create our checkout abandonment first, okay? So first things first, click on the top right to creating a flow. I would personally avoid all of these, but we are going to come back to it. What you want to do is click on build your own. You want to name it, so checkout. And then you want to go and create manually, okay? Once that has populated, we're just going to build the structure, but first we need to make sure there's the correct trigger. The correct trigger, because we're building the checkout abandonment, is the checkout started filter. And we're going to avoid the trigger filters, but what we are going to do is profile filters. Again, this is something I see people skip over all the time. Here are the most important things. We want to make sure that what someone has done, and we're going to search placed order, and we want to make sure that is 0 times since starting this flow. So it's only going to bring in people that haven't placed an order but did abandon the checkout. That's what we want. And then we're going to go and. We're not going to say or. And in the and section, we want to make sure that someone has not been in this flow in the last, let's say 15 to 30 days is usually the sweet spot. And that's it. That's how you're going to set it up for the checkout abandonment. You're going to save, and you're going to say confirm and save. Now comes the structure. You're going to first drag a time delay. In the time delay, you're going to make sure that you're doing 15 minutes or 30 minutes. We've split test this with the checkout abandonment specifically because it's higher intention. Usually 15 minutes performs better. Then we're going to put in our first email, okay? And this email specifically is going to be shorter. It's going to be to the point, and it's just going to populate exactly what they left behind and bring them back. That's the intention of this. So then you want to click on this, and what you want to do is you want to turn off this check mark. Super important, because otherwise people are not going to get this email if they're in your campaigns or your welcome flow. We want this to be the main focus. Again, something that most brands ignore, and we want to enable UTM tracking. We're not going to add any additional filters. So we're just going to go ahead and enable this. Now we're going to add another time delay. And usually you can play around with this. We're going to now delay by 2 hours time. This is usually, again, we split test this. This is usually what works better. We're going to put in our second email. And again, it will always have smart sending automatically enabled. We want to disable that. We want to put in custom UTM. Now, something that you might be wondering to yourself is, what if people place an order? Are they still going to get the second email? No. What you need to know is with this profile filter, this is applying to the entire flow. So let's say someone purchases on email 1, they will never get email 2. They will exit the flow and go into normal, newsletter or any other flows that don't have segmentation involved. Then you want to add another time delay. In this time delay, we want to wait a day, and usually we like to wait until a specific time of day. Most people don't put this in place, but if you think about it, if someone is scrolling on your website at, let's just say midnight, and you send them an email at, the next day at 2 a.m. again, that's not going to do well. So instead what we'll do is we'll send it around 11:17 a.m. because most brands send on the dot. So we want to send off the dot to stand out a little, and we will send on a specific time zone. We don't want to choose their time zone. We want to choose our ideal time zone of our audience. So if we're US based, usually it's Eastern time. Now, what we want to make sure is we're either sending midday or in the evening. That's when we see works best. You can even go more granular and delay until a specific day of the week, but we wouldn't do this with this flow. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add one more email. We find that 3 emails is the sweet spot with all of these generating massive amounts of revenue, but you can play around. Again, make sure that this is ticked off, this is ticked on. Now, let me walk you through what it's going to look like, right? Because I'm only going to build the first email with you now, but the first email is a small nudge, just saying, hey, you left this behind, here's what you left, come and check out. Number 2 is, hey, here's our shipping times. This is what we do. This is what our customers say about us. This is why we are the way that we are. And the third one is some kind of code and urgency. So you can choose to put a code earlier on, but there's no need to damage your margins with the checkout abandonment because the intention is higher. It's a bit different with the cart abandonment. So what we want to do is we now want to create our email. And what we want to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead here and we're going to select a template. Okay. So if you already have one built, that's great, but we're just going to create a new template. We don't want to use any pre-built ones. Once this populates, I'm going to show you exactly the ideal way to build this, right? Now, we want to make sure that we are dropping in some of our elements. I've created universal elements, but you can follow along. We want a banner, and in this banner, we either want our logo or we want some kind of main, added addition value. So this is, hey, spend X and get free shipping, or whatever the case is. That's always valuable. Then we want to immediately tell them what this email is about, which is, hey, get your that you left something behind. So this is where you'll say, hey, your cart is waiting for you. And then we immediately want to add a CTA, and then we'll show them what they left behind. CTA needs to be as high up in the email as possible, and you don't want a main image that pulls them away. Within 5 seconds, they need to know what they are coming back for. And here is the most important part, where you're going to build your dynamic element, which will show them the products that they left behind. And to do this effectively, what you're going to go ahead and do is you want to open up another tab. You want to go to the flow section. You want to create a flow. And you're going to come back, and this just makes it so much easier than making mistakes, right? You want to search for a checkout abandonment, right? And you want to search for a checkout abandonment reminder. You're just going to go and choose this one. Make sure that the checkout starter is the function, the trigger. And then you're going to use this template. The reason why we're doing this is very important. It's to pull a element from this email. So you're going to click on this email and you're going to say edit. Now, when you come to this email, what we're going to do, super simple, we're going to save this as a universal element. So this table, we're going to say abandonment table, okay? We're going to use that. And what else we're going to do is we're going to search for this, okay? So we're going to copy this code. Now we want to go back here and we want to paste this code. So we're going to edit, we're going to say that, okay? That means it's going to publish to all of the emails. This is a universal element, this is a button. Then what we want to do is we've just saved that universal element. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in here. So this is the abandonment table that we just pasted. Now this makes it so much easier. You don't need to do the coding yourself. All you can change is the styles and the elements, right? And essentially, if you want, you can go add additional information. So for example, if you want to go and change some of the information below, where it's a little bit more granular, you can go and easily do that. So you can do that, and it's just additional information. Maybe you want to add another CTA underneath. We'll do it below. And suddenly you have a full built email with everything you need. So you can choose exactly how you want to do it, but I recommend just keeping it short and simple, putting this and maybe a little bit of text, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And again, there's just a shortcut we can go to an already built email like this that they've already provided for you. You take all the elements, and what's going to happen is when you preview and test, it's actually going to populate everything correctly. So it's going to have the image of the product they left behind. It's going to show them the total, and you can edit some of these features. So you can come in here and you can just edit what you want to display or not. So do you want the currency? Do you want anything specific? Then you can go and edit it. And that is it. So that is essentially how you build the checkout abandonment correctly. And you can go and make sure that you do the same for the cart abandonment, right? So just drag the elements correctly, make sure that you're doing everything well. And you can see this is the checkout URL. Now, what will often happen is Klaviyo has the same thing. It thinks that this is an abandoned cart email, but it's not. It's an abandoned checkout email. So what you'll want to do for the abandoned cart is you simply just want to change this. So let's just say we're doing the abandoned cart right now. We'll come back here. If this is the abandoned cart and we're actually not doing the abandoned checkout, what we'll want to do is we just want to change this, and you can put your domain name. So let's just say littleherb.com. And what we like to do is checkout. Okay, and make sure that this link actually works, but when you type it in, it will work and it will take them to checkout page. It's just way simpler. You can keep this the same, but this way you are actually going to the checkout page and you don't keep landing up in the cart page. So just keep that in mind if you do want that. And if this is for the cart abandonment, then just type in cart. Super simple. But usually you do want to lead them to the checkout abandonment just because it will kind of continue on the process. Just make sure you have the right element and the link address. Now, to build, what we want to do is we've got a fully built email here. Save that as a template. So you can save this as a template. We're going to save it as checkout template. Cool. We're going to save that. And then we have a fully built template that we can apply to the cart abandonment. Now what we want to do is we want to go back. Now we've got a fully built, and you want to apply that, that thing to all of these emails and just change up the elements. And now we want to go back. Now we want to build our cart abandonment. Now the cart abandonment is slightly different. So go to create, build your own cart specifically, and we want to create manually. Now when we come to building this, it's slightly different. Scroll down and make sure you're choosing added to cart, and make sure you're choosing this element, not the metric element. Make sure you're choosing this element. And here we want to add an additional filter. So we want to do the same things. We want to make sure that someone has placed an order 0 times, 0 times since starting the flow, and make sure the and is selected, has not been in this flow in the last 30 days. And we want an extra and. We want to make sure that what they've done is they have started the checkout 0 times since starting the flow. This way it prevents overlapping with our flows. Okay, so this is the cart abandonment. In the cart abandonment, you want to add that they have not checked out a single time. The reason why is because we've already got a checkout abandonment flow. We want that to be slightly different, and we don't want them to get inundated with emails. So we want to make sure that's there. Now we're all good to go and create this. Now what we want to do is we want to change it up. Because of the cart abandonment, remember that difference, we want to add a longer time delay because the intention is slightly different. And maybe we want to make it 45 minutes. Then the second email, so we'll put in our first email, and then what we can do is, again, just make sure this is checked off. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to select that template that we chose earlier, just to make it a simpler, easier process, just with those link differences that I showed you. Then we want to add a time delay. We want to make it a day, and we want to delay until a specific time, or you can make it 4 hours, whatever you want, but we would just make this until a day later, till a specific time. Let's make this one 17 p.m. and Eastern time. Cool. And then we want to go and paste our second, and then we want to do another time delay. This one we can wait a day as well. And then we want to send our third email. Cool. And again, with all of these, just make sure that we are checking off all of the skipped senders. So we're going to go and skip all of these, make sure that's set up, and then you want to enable the UTM tracking for all of them. So make sure that's done. And aside from that, that's pretty much it. Then you're going to go and build the emails about the same way, just with different elements. And that's it. There's a no BS guide into how to set up the highest converting flows. And by the way, just to give you an idea, these for one of our clients has generated over $500,000 in the last 30 days, and other clients over $100,000. So this is the lowest hanging fruit that you have right now. And a lot of the reason is because you probably have it set up incorrectly. So with that being said, hopefully this helps. If you want an agency to come in and do all of this for you and constantly manage, where you don't have to worry about your email marketing, that would be us. We run Mailzy, which is one of the world's best email marketing agencies. We've been doing this for over 7 years. And otherwise, if you're looking for this kind of value where you can jump on a call with me, I go in the back end personally and I go look at everything you have set up. We also have Inbox Engine, which is intended to make sure that you can fire your agency without ever having to hire another one, where you can bring it in-house, you can train people in-house. But if you just want an agency to come in, you don't want to worry about it yourself, then there's an option as well. So go down below, you can check that off. But for now, hopefully this makes sense and hope it was valuable.